It's not the news I wanted to see, but there we go. So, the far right are protesting in London in hundreds of thousands. This, you might think, is bad news, but in reality, we could do better as people who are not far right and bigoted. Because there's literally more of us than there are them, and you have to remember that these people who don't confine themselves to the internet are actually going to go out. They're going to do it. But one of the unsurprising things that came out of this really is the fact that they won't go in there peacefully. And it's made obvious with apparently assaulting police officers, which not even democratic people would do, even though we don't agree with them. But they're attacking them, supposedly, and they're surprised, like, they were going to do that anyway, because they are a violent group anyway. And they have to prove that they're not by avoiding that, by spreading that message. But again, it's just them that do it. Like, hello? Do we not see the problem here? The lack of intelligence, the lack of hearing someone out. It's all pretty much interconnected, and it doesn't surprise me. And it sort of leads me on to the Nepal thing. I don't know where I got the UN response to them from. Like, someone somewhere, probably not UN, but said that they need to get back the country. And I just think that's fucking tone deaf. Like, yeah, overthrow a corrupt government, that's deserved. That's a given, really. If you want something done right, do it yourself. That's the advice that old people would give us pretty much all the fucking time. Or for most people, anyway. I didn't really hear it, but I began to prescribe to it after a while. I started to realise, oh, this is actually how you do it. So really, like, congratulations is necessary for Nepal for actually getting a reasonable Prime Minister in charge and getting the country under control. Like, that's incredible. But the same can't be said for other countries, unfortunately. Especially Western countries, where people do have the power. Like, again, it's been pretty much put into place, like, many times in stories, fictional stories even, that the people with the power are those who can disobey the government. And that's what it means to be free, really. There's the idea of freedom, the same in the UK. It's not just the US, but the UK as well. You know, to be truly free, you need to be not at the whims of the government, but work alongside people to ensure there is freedom. So you're not slaves, you're not essentially serving an oligarch like Trump, or Keir Starmer in this case. So it just sort of makes you realise that despite the overwhelming amount of people there, like, the fact remains that fucking noise. I just stopped there. Yeah, like, the fact remains that something needs to be done. You know, the inaction on Gaza was horrific, and it's going to go down in history as one of the most brutal holocausts that there probably ever was. Because so many people died, and so many people are suffering as a result. It's literally a holocaust. And just to put into perspective the sort of suffering, I think at least in World War II, if someone I remember, they used to get served food in the concentration camps before getting gassed alive, which is horrific. You can actually see pigs gassed alive if you want to know what that's like, but it's horrific, trust me. Because they employ the same method for welfare standards in the UK. Believe it or not, that's high welfare. So that's why I don't eat animal products. But yeah, like, comparing it to the actual Holocaust, like, it is far worse in so many different ways. Because homes are not only destroyed, and they're not only taken out of their homes by force, they have to live on the streets, they have to essentially fight starvation to survive. Like, I saw a video of this poor fucking 15-year-old kid who unfortunately couldn't live because he had a gluten intolerance and he couldn't consume anything with gluten. And given that a lot of the rations now, is it rations? It's probably the wrong term, I don't know. A lot of the things that they're given there as food in a starvation crisis, a famine, is gluten. And so that kid unfortunately died like hours later. It's fucking horrific. I don't really understand why this is allowed to happen, let alone the inaction on that. And it goes to show that with some of the aid that's gone there, can people fucking shut up outside? Fucking get this place. With some of the aid that's gone out there, like, it's obviously good that there's aid going out there from people who may even potentially become a criminal of their own country just because they want to do the right thing. But we need more people to do that, and more, obviously, boats, like, if possible, planes. Like, let's not forget the fact that planes are probably one of the most effective ways to bring aid. And it does require some people somewhere to actually have the balls to fucking do it. To fill up a plane with these bunch of food and drink, and obviously put them on parachutes, or however you put them on, and yeah, deliver them. Like, it's an easy thing to do, but countries are not doing that, and as a result, they're just complicit. It's fucking disgusting. As some of these have said, you need to show everyone the results of this. I saw someone in the German parliament, I think. Was it German? Might not be, actually. I'm pretty sure Germany didn't like the protests. But some doctors showed a government the effects of starvation in Gaza, and the politicians couldn't really look at it. And the doctor was saying that, well, this is what's happening because of your inaction. That was a pretty badass moment, and I say quite a real moment as well, because, yeah, it's obviously something horrific, and the fact that this is being shown means that there is some good out there being done. Because that is the reality. You know, if you can't stand to watch it, why do you then stand by when that happen? You know, one of the things you have to also admit as well is if you do send people there, you're going to see even more horrific things. You're not only going to be a target, but you're also going to be seeing this shit. You know, you need to be brave and strong. Like, that's sort of what I mean by, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. Because if countries are not going to do these things properly, then someone else might as well do it. And it's just, again, scary because it's a really horrific situation. Like, I'm going to keep saying that, but it literally is, and I can't stress that enough. It gets horrific because, again, governments don't do anything. They don't see the warning signs. UN failed. Plenty of independent countries failed. But, yeah, you people are responsible for this, and you have to answer for these crimes as well. Literally. Because every time a fucking child dies, you are complicit. Because it's different when you're running a country and there's actually, obviously, like the usual shit, like, unfortunately, but murder and abuse, like, that happens. This country's going through all of that and much worse. It's just so fucking horrific. And the inaction is what's causing this to happen. It's not Israel, it's the inaction. Israel is definitely to blame, but inaction towards Israel is causing it. You know, would you rather become an enemy of Israel or be on the wrong side of history. Simple question, an easy answer. That's all it takes, and that's why I do support things that are happening, like in Nepal, where they overthrow the government, get someone new to actually do it properly, and hopefully in the months to come, it actually turns out that it's the best thing that's ever happened. So, yeah, I guess it's a situation we're in, like the UK. There may be a lot of protests and protesters, but it pales in comparison to the amount of people who didn't attend. Because again, these are people who probably got out of their homes, probably from other cities and towns, villages, just to protest, and they've essentially wasted their time because it doesn't mean a thing. And it also shows that they're incredibly stupid and they're going to run the country to the ground. And if they don't realise that these problems will affect them down the line, that the far right are going to put in, that's their problem. And we'll suffer because if we're like young and have problems ourselves, like mental health, LGBT plus or disabled, then yeah, it's going to affect us, no doubt. But eventually that's going to rot the core of the UK, and hopefully it'll spawn something big, because we're well overdue that at this point. We've had over 30 years or probably 40 years actually, of government which has consistently failed us. And it just doesn't surprise me if we do end up in a situation like Nepal has. And I'm not really going to be against it. And the other thing as well is like abounding two governments, because this is a real issue. Young people are incredibly intelligent, and if you're trying to fight it with power, you're going to lose. And that's literally what happened in Nepal. Because intelligence just triumphs in a lot of these situations. It doesn't matter how much power you have. Yeah, it's quality over quantity, and that's what the younger generation have going for them. That's why you see so many people in tune with emotions and just traits that they have, like disability, like people are aware, but it could be more aware than most GPs, believe it or not. You got people more aware of sexuality and gender. And even then, like, the hardships teach us the best lessons, and we've had enough of them that, compared to the older generation, we've probably suffered more and not been able to contain it. So that ends up bursting out, which is probably what's happened in Nepal as well. And it ends up spawning something quite, I don't know, like fascinating, quite good. Because you realise something's wrong and you want to change it for the better. So that's why that happens. Yeah, I think I've said everything I can. Also, like, technological warfare is a advantage that, well, not just Gen Z, but anyone above as well, will have. There's no doubt about that. I grew up around technology. I do know my way around it. I do have some knowledge on the various sort of uses of it. And not just limited to like browsing and looking up addresses, but there are other things. And other people would know that too. And, the UK is probably no different there. And eventually people will rise up and fight back. In this case, like, it's well overdue in the UK. In the US probably as well. But yeah, if there's something wrong with your country and your leadership, it's going to happen. And that's the thing, if you're scared of the thing that's happening in Nepal happening to you, that's probably a confession. That means you are doing something wrong. And if you're not willing to change it, frankly, I can't argue with the people looking to overthrow you. It's completely fucking deserved at that point. So, yeah, thanks for listening. See you on another time.